Yeah,
episode, though, right?
definitely. Hope you guys enjoy. We have an awesome, awesome first guest. And yeah, let's just get started and go on into it.
Who are you?
Um, yeah, that is the question right now. I used to think, who would I be without performance? And I, a lot of people are unlucky enough to have to literally answer that question right now. And it's a toughie. But I think if I've learned anything, it's that you can still be performance even if you're not doing it, even if there isn't an industry for it currently. Um, if that's what you're passionate about, if that's what you love to do, it's still um, you can still emulate it, and you can still practice it and be passionate about it. You just have to channel it without an industry. So I think um, as far as who I am, I'm someone who's very passionate about storytelling and
Mm.
and and its power to teach lessons and change hearts. So that's me. I'm still a performer.
He's
Whew,
a
Still a
wonderful human
performer.
that
being.
was beautiful. Wow. I'm going to save that for when people ask me how I feel about it.
You can steal it for
Okay,
a
wonderful.
price.
We'll discuss that later. So I guess kind of going off of that, like, do you find yourself like fully immersed in theater, or do you have the ability sometimes to pull yourself out of the art and like have different hobbies or different?
Great question. And I think the truth is, if you anyone who allows himself to be fully immersed in theater, I mean, to be fully emaciated. I don't know what that was. I mean, to be fully emaciated. To be fully immersed in performance, in acting, in theater, in art, I think the answer to your question is that you have to be immersed in life. Anyone's authenticity in performance needs to draw from their experiences in life. For example, and I taught a lesson on this actually at Schenectady High School not that long ago, where for every performer going through this time right now, it's the best acting training you could ever have.
Yeah.
Um,
Right.
because your own experiences get magnified on stage and on camera.
Right.
So I think I would be a terrible artist if I didn't have other things to do in my life.
Yeah.
Because you wouldn't be able to emotionally recall anything. You wouldn't be able to live a character if you didn't understand, you know, um, what was that noise?
Do
I
you hear
heard something.
that?
I do.
Do you still hear it?
No.
The people upstairs are taking a bath.
It
It's
was faint. I thought I was about to apologize because I was like, "Oh my god, I hope that's not one of
No,
my."
no,
no, you're
no.
fine. No, you're fine.
It's just people being
No,
clean.
But anyway,
yeah.
yeah, I hope that answers your question
Yeah.
because I've loved getting involved with actually new experiences and new things. And I think if you made your life only about one thing, it would become very dull very quickly. And that goes for anything, but especially art,
Right.
especially art.
I'm glad too that
So
you said times like this is the best training time, because I think there's a huge misunderstanding, like, that the industry's at a pause, that people are just letting it go or just giving it up. And um so that's what you're recommending for artists, especially performing artists, to do right now, is to just train, like what, like take classes, take.
well, yeah, I mean, it'll take different forms for sure. Classes are a really practical way to apply experiences and to apply, put what you're learning to the test. But no, again, I think the best training comes from allowing yourself to feel extreme things. Um, Acknowledge that this is a traumatic uh, time, the most traumatic time we've had in decades in this
Mm.
country. Our generations have not experienced anything like this. And so to kind of acknowledge that, to let yourself feel it, let yourself cry about it, cry about like, you know, the loss of your passion, about loss of loved ones, about like the hopelessness of it, as like as much as we always want to step away from that and push that down, and any normal person is, you know, that's what you should probably do. But as far as artists go, I really encourage feeling all of this all the way through. Like, don't, yes, I mean, put your skills to the test. Yes, like learn and take classes. But again, the best lessons are from life.
Mm.
The best lessons for a performer are from life, because eventually we're going to be back, and you're going to want to be the one that learns something about yourself during this time, and not necessarily scrambled to pick up a new skill as far as performance goes, or try and like scramble to make connections, or to take a million classes and drop like thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
I think that's fine if that's where you're at, but I just think that it's equally important to have your life experiences and live them to the fullest.
Yeah, these class prices are no joke.
Yeah, it's
I've
just,
You
seen
see what I'm
yeah,
saying? Yeah,
yeah,
it is
definitely.
no joke. And I've taken some. I've taken a few, and I had my goals for them, though. It wasn't, you know, it wasn't a one-tracked decision. It
Mm.
was to like make connections, and also to kind of have an audience that I could, you know, do something for, because that's why we're all doing it. And, you know, that's the way it's kind of, performance is meant to be in front of an audience. And so the
Yeah.
the worst thing about this time is that there aren't audiences really, you know, they're kind of hard to come by. So, yeah.
Yeah. And I think something great about an audience too, whether it's like a class where you have other classmates or a real huge audience, I'm sure they wouldn't give as much feedback, but like those classroom feedbacks and those critiques you get from other students, I think is like probably one of my favorite things
Yeah.
to experience. Cause I
Yeah.
mean, if you're doing a monologue in front of your mirror like 80 times, you're going to hate it by the end of
Yeah.
the thing. So,
Exactly. There's plenty to gain from it, but eventually you need to be able to share it. That's the whole point. Yeah,
mhm.
you need to see how it affects other people.
So are you a fan of
So
online theater, or are you kind of, you don't
Hmm.
really have too many feelings about it?
of online theater, I think that the for me to be a fan of it, I think it needs to be written specifically for a virtual setting.
Mm.
I like to think
Definitely.
of, there's that movie that came out, like a horror movie called Unfriended.
Yeah.
And I
Yes.
haven't watched it, but I know that it's about you know, these people on like on FaceTime. The whole movie is like through FaceTime like webcams, and
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think virtual performance is meant to be done that way. If you really want to sell a story, it needs to
Yeah.
be written so that the circumstances of the characters are recognized and accepted within that world. You see what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's an
Mhm.
idea I also am trying to convey to like anyone that I'm teaching, is that if you're trying to work on your acting right now, you can't ignore this.
Yeah.
You
No
Right.
can't
way.
ignore where they are, what, you know, that you're talking to a screen, because that's the whole um, that's the whole concept behind authenticity and authentic acting, is you have to accept the circumstances of your reality,
Right.
reality of your
And
character,
yeah.
you know.
And you also have to alter like the way, I mean, as theater actors, we definitely act in a different way when we're on stage versus when we're 12 inches from a camera.
Yep.
You know,
Exactly.
it's a big learning curve, I think, for some people to
I
remain
think so too.
authentic.
I think this has the potential to emerge a whole new medium, to be
Mm.
honest with you. I mean, and it would make sense. I mean, trends are kind of showing that. Like, uh, you look at social media, the trends of TikTok and Reels, and those kind of short
Mm,
clips that kind of like is the evolutionary, you know, of the evolution of Vine, and where all that stuff is leading. And you have you have so many people um, who are able to sell something uh, in that in that medium, you know,
Yeah.
mhm.
on your phone, and are able to like use the ring light and do the thing, and have these like short little clips. And I think that's a whole different emerging skill set and entertainment, obviously, like entertainment medium. The fact that like
Yeah.
millions of dollars are being made on this app, and we have to acknowledge that this isn't just like a fad. This is like where entertainment is kind of going and emerging a whole new medium that like a lot of people are going to be good at that and not good at the other ones. And some people are going to be like, you know, really good at on camera, like film acting, and then they're going to suck at the social media stuff. And then same goes for stage. And I think that it's okay to acknowledge that these are just different skill sets, and that no, you don't have to like be good at all of them, you know, because they're all like completely different mediums, in my opinion. That we kind of got off on a tangent, but I've been thinking about that a lot.
Yeah, no, is it bad that like whenever TikTok was supposed to shut down, I was really hoping for it because I'm so bad at it. Like
it is, and he said it's a skill set. It's so true though. Like people are like, oh, you know, just because you're on TikTok, you know, that means you have no skill. You're just like, no, these people they adapted to it. They have a skill.
They did. They adapted, and there's a lot of almost like courage in a way, like fearlessness that you have to do that, because I don't know if you do this too, but when I watch those videos, I picture what it must have felt like for them to be filming it. Like
some of them,
in public or like like wherever they, and I'm like, how do you not feel dumb when you're doing that? And I'm like, you know, people could say the same thing about getting up on stage in front of a bunch of strangers and, you know, singing a song or like crying your eyes out in the scene. They'd be like, I don't know how you do that. And I'll be like, and they'd be like, I would tense up. I'd be embarrassed. I would freeze up. And I'm like, now you know how I feel when I try and like, you know, make a TikTok. It's the same.
So tense during a TikTok.
So tense. I mean, I've tried my hand at a few videos, and I mean, it's the style. It's just a style. It's like different. And I think, you know, it'll come with time. You just have to. I was very poo-poo against it, like for a while, just like you said. I was like, oh, TikTok shutting down. I'm not heartbroken about it, to be honest. But you know, now it's hard to ignore. You can't ignore it.
It's everywhere. Everyone's sending one to you. Everyone's sending you like a TikTok they think is funny. And
every day.
And it's entertainment.
Yeah.
It's entertainment. And it's time for us to really accept that, no, this is performance, and it's okay, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. What's it like right now? You're down in New York City, right?
Yes, I am. It was snowing today.
Oh yeah, same here. Was it a lot?
Not a whole lot. It doesn't stick. I think it's because the ground is so heated from the subway and from sewage. But it was pretty. What is it like down here though?
Yeah.
You know, I was gone for a couple months during the summer. I came back in late August, early September-ish. No, early August. And to be honest, it was really beautiful here. I don't know what it was, but I came back. I didn't recognize my street. It looked so green and like lovely, and you know, it was quiet. It's still quiet. There's not like a whole lot of people out on the streets as much as they used to be, which is good. And people are doing a good job here overall, as far as abiding by regulation and looking out for each other. But you know, that you can't help but, at least for me, have this kind of like biting feeling or notion that, you know, there is something missing, and it's the hub of live entertainment for this country is here, and it's dark, and it's like not only like a source of billions of dollars in revenue, not just for Broadway, but for all of the tourism attractions around Broadway and for all of the restaurants around Broadway, where, I mean, imagine, you're not just talking about putting butts in seats and selling tickets. You're talking about meals that families have, maybe 2-3 meals a day around
Yeah.
the Times Square area before they see a show, a matinee and an
Mhm.
evening show. And it's like, it's why, I mean, it's hard for, um, at least me to wrap my head around the whole financial or economic scope
Yeah.
of how this is all being affected, but it is easy for me to wrap my head around the livelihoods that are being affected. And it's like, it's it's hard to ignore. It's really hard to ignore for me, and obviously a lot of the people that I spend time with. So
Mhm.
um, but it's, I would rather be here than anywhere else right now.
Mm.
It's where I still feel like I can get the most out of life right now, and feel like I'm moving forward and doing something, burning my torch and everything. And yeah, so I guess that's what it's like. Um, and I love it here. It's becoming home more each month, and I'm still like a young New Yorker. I can't remember what it is, like 5 or 10 years. Like it's like a while before you're considered like a New Yorker finally, and I'm still nowhere near that. But yeah, I still love it here. I still love it here. I hated it at first, but now it's really become my home. So yeah, that's what it's like in New York right now.
Mm.
That
Lots
was
of ups and
intense.
downs.
Damn.
Mhm.
No, that was intense. No, just because like whenever somebody asks about New York, it's usually you hate it or you love it. There's two answers. Did you ever hate it? Did you hate it at first, or did you hate
I,
the confusion of it?
I I'm just not a city boy. Like I
Yeah.
grew up in rural upstate New York, which I mean, you know, like
Yeah.
it's a lot of dairy farms, and I think people don't realize that, but um yeah, I grew up kind of like small town kid, and able to make it to the city and have like a whole world adjustment, like every couple of years, be able to like take a trip down there and see it. But to live here now, it took a while. I mean, as a performer, I was kind of grateful to leave all the time,
Mm.
because I left all the time to work. I really didn't spend a month at a time here when I first moved, because I was working and I was traveling, and that was great, because if I ever got sick of the city, I knew that I was going to leave soon anyway. So I did think of this time as like, okay, this is a chance for me to make a home here and feel
Mhm.
comfortable and not be like jumping around all the time. You know, get an apartment with people I trust, and people who are doing this just like hustle with me, and yeah, just stay. And I was going to be working here like for a while to like make that happen when the pandemic hit too, which was, I was in an off-Broadway show, um and then I was going to be in another off-Broadway show that was going to run for like 6 months, and I was so ready to like, I was like, wow, this is my chance to really make my life about this pace.
Yeah.
And it's
They're still gonna
going to
happen though.
happen
All right. Are
eventually.
they?
It's going to happen
Are they still gonna
eventually.
happen? Okay. Okay. Good.
Good.
Yeah,
Okay.
that show, it's called SuperYou. It's going to go up at the Darrow Roth in Union Square off Broadway, and they have some very passionate people um, involved.
Mm.
So it's going to happen. It's just a
That's
matter of
I'm
good.
time.
excited.
That's great. We'll have to make the trip
Oh yeah.
post COVID,
Oh,
Yeah.
please
post
do hit me
pandemic.
up. You'll have tickets on me. So
So yeah,
for
so you
sure.
talked about traveling for work. That was a tour you did, correct? Right?
It was, yeah. That's actually right there. That's Cruel Intentions, the
Oh.
Oh
musical.
God.
That was a little scrapbook gifted to the cast by a fan who loved the
Oh my
show, and
gosh.
I couldn't help it. I just had to keep it with me, because it really helps to kind of like, it's a great memorabilia from the experience, and that was a turning point. I mean, we all have our like plans, our goals that we set, and performers definitely have to be very flexible with theirs, because
Mhm.
something could happen at any time and change your whole trajectory. And this was one of them for me, which I mean, I had just moved to the city
Hmm.
after doing a bunch of summer contracts between school years. Um, and yeah, I was pretty scared because it was a lot all at once. But I was just trying to take it step by step. You move to the city and you're like, you know, I need all these things at once. I need an agent, and I need to go to all these auditions, even though I'm not a union actor, but I want to be a union actor because I don't want to wait in these lines every morning and get up at 4 a.m. and take the subway into Midtown.
You're getting up at
But
4 a.m. for these audition lines. 4
4
a.m.
a.m. on the late side, I would say 4 a.m. on the late side.
Oh my gosh.
And I even only did it for like a couple months, and I was like questioning everything.
Oh no.
I was like, is this what I want to do? Is this going to be my entire life? Am I ever going to I'm never going to be able to get in the door. I'm never going to get seen. Like, how can I even show them? Like, it's just a trap. It's a trap. It's a rat race. Like, it truly is.
Mhm.
But, you know, you've got to stay. You've got to just stay, and you've got to do it. And every morning when you wake up and your alarm goes off and you're like, I'm so tired, I don't want to go. Like, every single morning the same thought went into my head, and it was, but what if this is the one? But what if this is the one where I get seen, and uh and I'm exactly what they're looking for, and everything lines up. If I don't go, I'm never going to know. So I went. Every morning I went. And there were ones where, I mean, you go, and I'm not sure how familiar all are, but you go, and if you don't have any equity points, EMC points, which lead to your union card, your status, your equity status, if you don't have any, you might as well be someone off the street, basically. Like, you might as well be a nobody.
Wow.
And that's,
Even with the degree that you had too, because I know you had, you got your bachelor's.
oh yeah.
Okay.
The degree has its value,
Yeah.
especially right now. But as far as actually auditioning, it's not going to get you anywhere in the door. I mean, unless it's a school where
You hear that,
casting
people?
directors and yeah,
Yeah.
listen, I mean, unless it's a school where casting directors and producers literally come to your school and come to your showcase and
Yeah.
are expecting something out of your school, which those schools exist, and if you didn't go to one of them, you just have to get over it.
Yeah.
Because your path is not going to be theirs. My path is not going to be the same as theirs. And the thing is, the talent level spectrum, um, it's not as wide as people think. You know, because you never know the reasons that people choose one school over another. You know, the
Yeah.
person that got into Carnegie Mellon probably couldn't afford it and went to a different school. And, you know, it could have been someone got into Ithaca, got on their waiting list, but they didn't get accepted in the program because they had too many people of that specific type. You know, that's a thing that happens.
Mhm.
And it's frustrating for young high schoolers who don't know. And I didn't know, that's for sure. But it's true. And but anyway, you know, you have to go to auditions knowing what tools you have, um, and aware of what you have to offer, and you have to recognize that, yeah, you're gonna have to like go through some major frustration for a while. And I did. And I would wait all day to try and get seen until, like, you know, I wake up at 4 a.m. and it'd be 6 p.m. and I'd be like next in line to go, and then they'd call it for the day, and
Oh my
Oh my
I'd be like,
God.
gosh.
I'd be like, if I just wait for them to come out, do you think I can like sneak in? And they were like, they really don't let people do that. But you just never know. You never know.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just stories. I have stories of like, you know, people doing that, people waiting till the last minute, and then like something happens and they're able to get seen. Like, you just don't know.
Mm.
And so one of those mornings happened where I woke up and I was like, I don't want to go. I feel so like crappy right now, and who I'm probably not going to get seen anyway. And as I had that thought, I was like, but what if this is the one? I went and I put my name on top of the list for Cruel Intentions, the tour, the '90s musical. It was a CETA tour, which means if you book it as non-union, you get your equity card. It's just handed to you.
Oh.
Right there. Oh my
Which
goodness.
there's a bunch of contracts like that.
Yeah. Well,
But
for the people
this
watching, would it be is it hard to get those points usually? Is it difficult?
um I would say it depends. I mean, I never had a point. I kind of like had a different path. There's just
Yeah.
different paths. Like, the points are not even necessary to get your card. I mean, there's people who play it differently. I mean, if you're doing well, only doing like non-union work,
Yeah.
um, you might not want to get your card. You might
Mm.
want to just hold on to your points and use them to kind of like um, uh, have a better position for auditioning.
Mm.
Um, but you might want to wait on getting your card until you're in a place where you can be more competitive in a union industry. So
Mm.
it depends. I mean, for me, I was like, I believe I can compete in a union industry. I believe that I have what it takes. And I couldn't even get a point. Like, I couldn't even get seen
Mm.
for theaters that would give me a single point, and that's all you need to like become an EMC candidate, which is officially like not a non-union person, like who could be right off the street.
Right.
Um, so people go about it different ways, and it's all about kind of like you're trying to get the most out of your career, and you're trying to you're trying to play to your strengths, like I said. Um, so I think I was really lucky because on this particular day there were other auditions happening. So the people who would be ahead of me, equity people and EMC candidates, were all splitting their time between Cruel Intentions, Titanic, and there was a theater doing Spring Awakening,
Mm.
an equity theater doing Spring Awakening. And I mean, when you're like around my age, if you see a theater doing Spring Awakening, you're gonna immediately like drool and like run to whatever theater that is. And I knew that that's what would happen. So I didn't go there. I went to the
Ah.
other place
Mm.
and I waited, and I was able to get seen by like 3:30. I remember the time, 3:30 p.m. I was able to get in and sing. I sang Gives You Hell by the All American Rejects.
Love.
Um,
That's my shit.
and I didn't know anything about Cruel Intentions. Not a lick. I had never seen the movie. Um, I didn't even know it was a movie. I just knew that the role that I was going in for was right for me, and I sang a song. And I knew I did well because I saw the look on their faces afterwards, and I saw them like nodding. And I was like, okay, well, I did what I could do. I'll either hear or I won't. And I heard. And this was right around the time my friend Alex Grayson, shout out Alex Grayson, he was with he's a graduate of Fredonia as well, and he was with Block Talent Agency, recently made his Broadway debut in Bronx Tale, and was having a really great career. And he kind of like took me under his wing when I moved to New York, and was like, you know, I like your work, and do you want me to refer you to my agency? So he
Oh, that's
passed a lot of
awesome.
my stuff to his agency, and when I tell you, like, agencies just love ghosting people like you. It's hard. Getting an
Yeah.
agent is hard, and don't let anyone
Yeah.
tell you different. It's really hard. Showcases are great, but
Especially a
you never know
proper
if
agent,
they're
because people are scammers. So you gotta be
exactly.
honest.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you got to be careful. Never pay for anything up front.
No.
Mm.
And I ran into that at one. I was involved with a modeling agency actually at one point, which was asking for money up front, and I was like, red light, like,
Mm.
or
Yeah.
like an alarm goes off in your head because you're always taught like don't pay anything until they get you work.
I
Yeah.
had the same
That's
thing
their job.
happen like what, 2, 3,
It was
maybe
like,
a month ago.
yeah, yeah.
I had
Yeah.
like done an audition. They were like, "Yeah, we want you for print modeling, this kind of stuff." And I had like sat down with the person, and she initially said it'd be like, I think like $1,400, and I was like, "This is interesting." So I had a mentor, luckily,
Like,
to talk to, and she was like, first of all, no. And what they were charged, they wanted like 20% of your whatever your bookings were.
It's crazy.
And
whoa,
yeah,
that's
which
high.
is extremely high compared to the, standard for acting.
Mm.
Yeah, that's so high. Yeah. And I mean, the money up front is always an alarm. Like, it's always
Yeah,
a red flag.
They
absolutely.
wanted
Um,
1,400 up front, you said?
1,400. I was like,
that's
for
so much money.
what? Yeah, so that's cool.
But but it's kind of wild how everything can kind of line up sometimes. And
Hmm.
so, while I was doing callbacks for Cruel Intentions, um, I was in meetings with Block Talent Agency as well, and I ended up getting the agent and booking Cruel Intentions around the same time.
Oh my gosh.
Um, and I was able to actually hand the contract right over to Block, be like, "Oh yeah, thank you for signing me. By the way, I booked this job on my own," and I love that I can say that too. Is that I
Yeah.
actually booked the job without help at all,
Mm.
um, and I love that is my story now. Like, that's something that I
Mm,
can say I accomplished. Is I waited in the lines as a completely non-union, nobody, and I was able to weasel my way onto this national tour, um, get my equity card without an agent. Um,
Mm.
and I'm really proud of that because I think, I don't know, I think it sends a message to anyone who's waiting in line for hours on end and who's having trouble getting up in the morning. Like, you do it again tomorrow because you never
yeah.
know.
Mm.
You just never know. And that was a great experience. I mean, traveling around the country and performing was just a freaking blast. I loved that life. I would totally do it again.
I'm so
And
jealous that you got to do that. That's like, I'm so
it was
jealous.
fun. I
Did you
saw
have
some
a
some really cool places.
did you have a like a favorite theater or a favorite place to be in?
Place and theater are would definitely be different. I
Right.
really loved San Antonio, Texas. I
Oh,
love San Antonio. I had been before when I was a kid. I had been to San Antonio, um, the Alamo and the River Walk, like, so pretty. The theater there was pretty too. I'm trying to think if which one that was. Majestic, maybe. Um, I mean, we played for a massive theater. Oh gosh, Philadelphia. Philadelphia, I think the Kimmel Center was like,
mm,
oh, and in Dallas, we had a really like warm welcome from the people of Dallas. And
Mm.
uh, after the show, like, they had this huge reception for us in the lobby, and it felt just so cool. Like, I don't know, I never experienced something like that before. I don't know. It was really cool.
So
So
humbling.
I guess those are both like both in Texas. I
hey,
don't know.
we are
Dallas and
a
San
good
Antonio.
breed. Texans are hospitable. We love,
I didn't know you were
you know,
from. I didn't
yeah,
know you're from Texas. Yeah,
not
I
those cool
love.
areas, but yeah.
Mm.
Where are you from?
I'm actually from 2 hours above Dallas, Wichita Falls.
Wichita Falls.
Yeah.
Okay. I worked in Kilgore, Texas, which is, I think, east of Dallas, so not
Yeah.
in the same. Yeah, I've worked in Texas a lot. Something about it. Something about Texas I just love. So,
Hmm.
It seems
but
like there's a lot of art migrating towards Austin as well, and performance art
yeah,
and things like that, which is really great.
Charlotte, North Carolina was beautiful too. I'd love to go back there. Um, and Durham. But they had some really, really cool like theater complexes down there that I really liked. I mean, it was cool also to like go through and all these theaters like usually have some kind of like a mural on the walls of like all the tours that have gone through. Um, and so to see like decades old shows that like went through uh, forever ago is kind of crazy, and to like see our names up there with them was neat. And our tech run was in Schenectady as well, which Proctor's Theater is beautiful.
Mm.
That was one of my favorites too, just like huge. um so it was really nice to perform there. That was when my mom came and
Oh.
my grandma. And Cruel Intentions is a it's a bit of a there's some vulgarity, and I mean I did full on backside nudity for
Yeah.
that show.
He showed his
And
butt.
Love
Yeah.
that.
I wasn't told that
Love
beforehand.
that.
And I was like,
Oh, you saw
I
it?
saw, I
surprise.
went to, yeah,
Oh
I went to
my
see
gosh,
the show.
that's
Yeah.
so cool.
And then, Depeche, I'm like, a friend of ours, I'm like, was that Jeffrey's butt? He was like, I didn't want to tell you. He told me not to tell everybody. And,
I did
you know,
tell her not to tell everybody. The one I was worried about was little Ivani. Little Ivani I knew was coming, and oh my gosh, she's so
yeah.
funny.
So, everybody's going to see him. We're all going to see him after and
Yeah.
support him. And they're all like, nice butt cheeks. And he's like, cool. That's all you guys noticed.
Oh my
And I
god.
tell you what, there is something like it. If you do any kind of nudity in theater, that's all people talk about. Of like what
Yeah.
they talk about, they'll be like, there'll be reviews, and my co-stars will have all this like great stuff said about them, and then they'll like completely just talk about my naked body. Like
Oh
that's
my
all they'll talk
god.
about. They're like,
Well, it's so intimate. I mean, it's still kind of like, when you watch nudity on TV, obviously there's a different type of like intimacy like you have as an actor with a crew there, but then you're doing it in front of an audience and it's like a real personal moment that you're both kind of having.
Mm.
oh yeah, yeah, that's true. I mean, I've never had that kind of intimacy on camera before. I imagine it comes with its own challenges.
Oh, sure.
But at least you get like time to be comfortable, and there's probably a lot of regulations, and not that there aren't in theater, but yeah, I mean, it's that idea of let's take it in different contexts. And I always use this scenario of what makes theater more exciting than on cameras. Like
Oh, I love this.
if you if you if you like see a guy up on a ledge in a movie, are do you feel the same as when you see a guy on a ledge in real life?
Yeah.
Right.
um and that's why I think theater is so powerful. Is like through a screen, when you're watching something through a screen, you're able to um put that in a different universe. You're able to your mind eh, others it and is able to separate it from your reality. But when you're seeing things happen right in front of you, I mean, that just, you can't help but acknowledge that that is happening right in front of you. So I think it goes the same for scenes of intimacy. Is like, yeah, I mean, there's plenty of on camera intimate scenes that are like either very cringeworthy or very like, I don't know, like stimulating, I guess. But like to see things happen on stage, you just don't have the same kind of visceral like reaction to it. I mean, for instance, when I did West Side Story, we had these student matinees um, where there's these kids from the Milwaukee school districts that many of them had like never seen theater before. ever. And so
Oh,
to
God.
put them in a situation where they're watching West Side Story, which is like such a wild ride. It's like there's so much violence and there's intimacy and there's like a straight up rape scene toward the end, and there's you know, Tony getting shot in the back, which they had no idea was going to happen. So to bring those studios like kids on a ride with a show like West Side Story, and to hear their reactions to this story was,
Mm.
I had so much fun. And I always left, even though to like any performer, they might think of those reactions as obnoxious and unconventional because you think of it as like not respectful in theater etiquette. But
Yeah.
if they don't know theater etiquette, it just means they're genuine reactions to what's happening, and like with nothing held back. And
Yeah.
I love that. It was so cool. It was so cool. I mean, from like the screaming and hollering at the end of a cool dance number to the utter like shock and gasps and like freaking out that follows a gunshot happening. And like in our version, you hear the gunshot before you see the gun. So it's this like very guttural, terrifying like few seconds where you're like, where did that come from? And if you don't know the show, I mean, imagine how like uh, affected you would be. Two, I mean, when Tony and Maria have like their lovemaking scene, and like I take my shirt off, and just the screaming was nuts. I couldn't keep it together. I couldn't, and neither could Maria. Neither could my scene partner. She was laughing while I like picked her up and like carried her off stage, and she's like, her head's like buried in my chest. She's like laughing because all they like start. She takes my shirt off, and they're like, like, oh, it was
Oh
hilarious.
my gosh. Those
It was
moments
hilarious.
sometimes really are the best, is when like I did The Importance of Being Earnest, and there was a moment with my scene partner, and we just, what we were doing was so outrageous and just funny that the crowd was laughing so hard, and then it was just so hard to look at each other and pretend that wasn't happening, and we just lost it. I mean, and of course it was the night they were recording it, but there's something about it that's just like, okay, I really fucked up, but at the same time that felt
It's
good.
so human. I mean,
Yeah.
if and you know, if it's a show where it's almost like okay, it kind of adds to the experience too. I mean, we broke during Cruel Intentions a few times, and I mean, there were times where I was like, okay, this is a national tour. Is this professional? But then you look out and you see like Cruel Intentions was a style, and you can attest to this, that it was very kind of like concert setting vibe where we were using all these like well-known 90s songs throughout the show that the audience was very familiar with and would sing along to. And
Oh,
so to have that
cool.
kind of atmosphere be supported by like, okay, us recognizing and acknowledging ridiculous things that happen on stage is like part of that. And so if there was something that was just different one night, like if my scene partner, her name was Brooke Singer. Oh my God, she's such a comedian. She's so funny, a clown, truly. And we had like a little kind of like funny, intimate moment where she's singing, "I'll make love to you like you want me to," and it's like so funny what we're doing. And I can't remember exactly what happened, but I like almost dropped her at some point, and we completely like broke. And and she like played off of it and like kept the bit going, and I could not. I had to like full back to the audience, like
Yeah.
just kind of like shaking with laughter because. And I mean, the audiences are so smart and in tune with the energy of a show
Oh
that like if
yeah.
something's off, they pick up on it and they
Mhm.
encourage it. So they
Yeah.
start laughing
Right. It's
even
a
more.
I
Yeah,
think
it's cool.
I was gonna say too, you're talking about like when the audience I don't think you've had any like crazy like mess ups at all. You did fall through the floor, correct? You fell through the stage. I did want to
Oh,
talk.
what is
Yeah.
this?
Oh God, everyone needs a story like this where they like fell off the stage, and this is mine. It's gonna be mine until I get a better one. Like this is, I was doing Catch Me If You Can at this beautiful summer stock theater up in New Hampshire called New London Barn Playhouse, and it's literally in a barn. Like it's this beautiful like rustic looking small stage with you know, it's this small house, but it does have like a slight balcony, but the audience is so low in there that if you're standing on stage, you can like almost reach out and touch the first row of the balcony. They're like so close to you. And it was Catch Me If You Can. There's a famous, you know, image of Leonardo DiCaprio in the movie where he does this change into a pilot's uniform. And there's that number in the musical where he does a quick change, like really fast, and emerges from like underneath the stage. And on Broadway, it's like a hydraulic lift, and they put you up there, and it's like stunning. And for our version, we it was smart. We had these cool like styrofoam wing cutouts that lined the front of the stage, and so during the reveal, they would lift them up and reveal the wings, and I would be like underneath, and I would like walk up and like be buttoning my jacket really casually, like and earlier in the show there's the moment where my character has his blocking. This was foolish blocking that I probably should have caught, but I just walked straight down stage at one point to like address the audience. And there was one night where I stepped just one toe too far, and I put my foot right on the styrofoam wing that, and I don't know if you've ever like had styrofoam hold your weight before, but
Not
it
yet.
doesn't.
It doesn't. Okay.
It's not like ice cracking where you have like a second to like pull back before
it's just instant.
plunge.
Okay.
You just go, like, it's as if there's nothing there. You just plunge down, and before you know what's happening, you're on the escape stairs in like a crumbled, awkward position and my leg had gotten caught on the way down and like twisted, and I ended up having a torn ligament in my knee.
But the cool part that I heard, and you can confirm, is he finished the show.
You finished the show. The
is
show
insane.
really did go on.
Yeah.
You know what actually probably would have happened? I mean, you have to understand, like, first of all, the audience was so confused.
Yeah.
Like, I disappeared, and because the show is Catch Me If You Can, they were like, he got away! Wow, he's gone!
Right,
like
yeah.
a magic trick.
That's a great show.
And my cast was all on the stage behind me, and it happened, and they were like, shocked. Like they
how do you play that off? I don't know how to play that off.
They did not know what to do.
Yeah.
So, and there's silence, like everyone's waiting to see what the heck's gonna happen. Everyone's waiting. And my line before I plunged to my like death was I like just had an interaction with a train conductor where I'm pretty much stealing a train ticket, and his line right before I plunge down is hold it, like he's gonna stop me. So he yells, hold it, and I plunge down and I disappear, and my line is what? And so a few seconds go by and no one's coming to get me, and I don't know I don't know if I'm like alive or like if I'm okay. I'm on a different planet, but I know that I have a line. That's all I know, is that I have a line. So from down below the stage, I yell, what? From below the stage. And that's when everyone like snapped out of it and realized what happened. And this guy like peeked like over the lip of the stage and was like, no, we're gonna stop now. Are you okay? And then our stage manager from like back of the house was like, we're gonna hold here. Um, Cast and crew backstage. Let's get Mr. Kringer out of the pit. And I was about to like come upstairs and like continue the show. I was like drunk on my shock. I was like about to walk up this and just like keep going.
Adrenaline was not
And they were
even,
like,
yeah.
no, you need to like go down and we need to make sure that your leg is not broken. And what gets me is that my entire family was in the audience.
Oh man.
And Miss Depeche
Yeah.
was there. My grandma, like, oh god, there's so many people there.
Your
But
mom was
yeah,
probably freaking out. Oh my gosh.
and the artistic director of the theater, who like lives next door to the theater, came over and was like, what do you need? And I was like, not an ambulance right now. And I like got my knee wrapped and I limped through the rest of the show, went to the hospital, found out I had a torn ligament and yada da 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 da. I had a knee brace for the rest of the run and had to like change everything. But I mean, here's an attest to the dedication of, I mean, a lot of the kids at this theater were actually interns. They were there for the whole summer. They did like a whole season, and they actually got EMC points for working there. Very talented. Like they were all such great kids. And you know, one of them, his name is Trevin, and he was my understudy. And right after he saw me, I just imagine the thoughts that must have gone through his head.
Oh yeah.
Right after I plunged into there, he was probably like, I need to go and look at my line.
Right. That's a
And
good
I saw him like working on them. I like came back up and I saw him in the corner vigorously studying. And I was like, keep doing that. You know, because this could like go any which way right now. But yeah, Trevin, he was a great guy.
All right, one more thing and I'll let you go because I know you got company coming.
Sure.
For the people, you know, watching this that have thought about having a career in the arts field or in acting, what's some advice for those people?
Wow, great question. And I'm trying to think of it
without giving a 4-page essay, because I know there's a million things you could pick.
It could be. It could be a book. And I'm trying to think of it in terms of maybe like what I wish I knew.
Yeah. Okay.
Like emerging. And I think one of the biggest things I learned is that as you're meeting people in the industry, as you're auditioning, as you're making impressions, I mean, this is like kind of a two-parter, but like just authenticity goes so far. It goes so far. And I learned my best lesson after college, when I was invited to be a reader for a casting company. I did an audition for them, and they were like, "Can you just come by next week? We're having auditions for the show. We think you'd be great for a reader. We'll pay you like yada yada yada." And I like to think that maybe they did me a favor by letting me see what it was like in the room behind the table. From a casting point of view. And what I learned was they really do always want you to be the answer to their prayers. Like they are never necessarily rooting against you. They are hoping that someone's going to walk in that, like through that door, who owns a role to the fullest, who makes it their own, and has an authentic, real personality that they want to work with. So it's as much as people are going to teach you how to audition and audition etiquette, the most important thing is that when you actually walk into the room, you forget all of it. You cannot think about it. You need to just walk in. You need to do your job, and you need to be yourself, because to walk in and kind of put on any kind of fake persona is always going to work against you. And I really didn't fully learn that lesson until I got to know these people behind the table on a personal level and saw them as humans. Because if there's anything this industry is, it's intimidating. And the last thing you need is to be intimidated while you need to be performing your best, which is in the audition room.
Yeah.
So that's some like a slice of advice of
To
what
keep
I
it
would
short and
say.
sweet.
Yeah, that's a slice of advice, and I think it speaks to a larger message of authenticity in theater and performance and entertainment. We need more of it. We need more of it, and we need people who are recognizing the shortcomings in the performing arts industry as well, as far as marginalized representation
Absolutely.
and how
Yeah.
people are being treated, and it's we're only going to go places if people start being more authentic. I just think that's the answer to everything. So
No, I love that.
that's a good question, and I'm glad I was able to speak to that. So I appreciate
Yeah.
it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we'll definitely take that advice as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope you do.
Yeah, thanks so
And
much.
you have a friend in New York who
Yes.
can, I don't know. I was lucky to have people here who kind of like led the way and helped me find my grounding. So reach out to the people, your friends, use them. That's what they're there for. No one's going to go it alone and make it out of this industry with their head still on their shoulders.
Yeah,
So,
there's no way.
yeah.
All right. Well, thanks again for meeting up with us. And
This was a blast. Thanks for having me.
is there anything you want to plug or anything that you're doing that we can check
Instagrams,
out?
Facebooks. What's going on here, Jeffrey? Update
I
us.
Your
love it.
TikTok?
Not TikTok right now. Yeah, follow me on Instagram at Jeffrey Kringer on Instagram. I'll be having updates as far as what kind of projects I'll be working on virtually or otherwise over the next few months. I'm going to start promoting some teaching lessons, self-tape lessons as well. So keep an eye out for those. And my roommate, Josh McLemore, putting out an album this coming week. So I'll plug him.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
right there.
Or
You
this
see it?
coming
You
month.
see it? It's right on the screen. It's crazy. Oh my God.
Yeah, pop it up. I love it.
Awesome.
Yeah, I
Cool.
appreciate y'all. This was a blast. So it's always great to talk about what you're passionate about. So
Yeah.
thank
Thank you for sharing your
Absolutely.
knowledge with us
Yeah.
and everybody watching.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yep.
Oh, anytime.